Hello!
Hi! Welcome to the podcast.
I forgot what we were doing.
It's a podcast.
Welcome to...
Do you want me to explain what a podcast is to you again?
Please.
So this is a podcast, which you probably kind of already know a little bit about.
The cats are fighting in the background.
Podcasts are kind of like usually either one person or a couple of people come together and they talk about a topic.
I'm in existential hell.
And this is our podcast, and it's called Sort of the Story.
We're starting this over.
No, it was so good.
Hi, and welcome.
This is Sort of the Story. It's a podcast.
Janey. God damn it, Max.
It's a podcast. She's Janey, I'm Max, and we're ready to get started.
This isn't for kids, because on this episode I'm gonna murder Max.
It also isn't for lawyers.
Oh.
So if you're a lawyer, stop snitching. Hello!
I'm Janey.
I'm Max.
And we are
Sort of the Story. We're the hosts of Sort of the Story. The podcast is a separate entity, but we're hosting
if you
it.
Explain podcast one more time.
No!
Oh my god.
Leave it. The people need to know.
People need to know. So this is the podcast where Max and I tell each other stories, and
also you are here.
And also you are here.
So welcome. We're glad you're here.
Howdy do.
You can't answer. It's a podcast, but
answer right now. Scream everything you want.
Comment, like, subscribe.
Max and I are having a hard time because it's been a couple weeks because Max got stuck in Mexico.
Yes. So I actually, spoilers, my story is about Cozumel. Related to. But so basically the background is my family planned like 10 months ago to go to Cozumel for a week with me and my mom and my dad and my brother and my fiance. And it was supposed to be a big thing because my mom is retiring. She actually just retired. My brother just turned 21, and although we didn't know it at the time, I had just gotten engaged when we left. Also, my dad has his birthday soon. So we were all having a big celebration, and as Omicron got worse, I was kind of like, we probably shouldn't go. But I did it anyways, which is irresponsible, and don't do it. If you're thinking about traveling, don't do it.
Or get a COVID test before, because I also went to a wedding thinking nobody I know has COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And Omicron has
COVID.
0 symptoms.
Yeah, 0 symptoms. So we got there, and my partner and I were both feeling kind of gross. We thought it was just from being on the plane. Turns out we had COVID, and we were stuck in Mexico because you can't re-enter the United States even as a U.S. citizen unless you have a negative COVID test. We were stuck there for 2 weeks. So we're behind on recording. My voice is really nasally still. I am negative, but it's still very unpleasant. So don't travel, don't get COVID. And also don't not listen, because I didn't listen. People were like, don't travel, and I feel like an idiot. Very irresponsible and bad. So
yeah, it was just a thing of we had our vaccinations and our boosters, and I didn't start hearing about Omicron, like, not responding to vaccinations and boosters and stuff like that until it was too late.
Until, like, now.
So
it's like,
yeah, it's been
January 14th. I left.
It's gonna be a couple weeks before this comes out, so
yeah,
hopefully
so
you already
January
know.
14th. I left for Mexico at 5 in the morning on January 1st. And at that point, everyone was like, I don't know, it's kind of scary, and I was like, well, it's probably fine, and it wasn't, so.
Yeah.
Hopefully everyone is.
I did freak out when you told me. I had a meltdown because I was at a bachelor party, and I was like, oh no, this is terrible, I'm in a cabin. So I went and I very panickedly, is that the word?
In a panic?
In a panic, I ran around to every single place looking for a test, for anyone to test me. I did test negative, but apparently the at-home tests may not be accurate for Omicron either, so did our best. Did our best, but it was a great wedding. Everything was fun. But we missed each other so much.
Yeah, and we haven't talked in a very long time except for yesterday.
Full panic when I got home and Max still wasn't home.
Yeah, it was very scary. Also, shout out to one of our listeners, Jordan, who is our neighbor and also one of our best friends. And he was taking care of our animals while we were both gone. And I felt so bad leaving him here with the pets for longer than he was supposed to. But he kept sending us pictures of him being best friends with our animals. And it was the best.
So he's basically the animal whisperer.
Shout out to friends. Yeah.
Even though Francis got scared and peed all over him.
Like a bunch of times. Like 30 times because he has the object permanence of a goldfish.
What? Okay. Well, today we're telling stories.
Yes.
I'm really fucking excited about my story I'm telling you today.
I'm so excited.
I will say, I wanted to tell a different one. I've talked about it on the podcast before. I'm not going to do it because I'm doing it next week / next time we record. But when I finally started reading it, I realized I need way more time. I was like, I can do this in 15 minutes. I did the thing. We always do this. Where I'm like, I've read this story before. No problem. And I sit down and I'm like, Janey, you can't read a book in 15 minutes. This is just a novella. What's happening? Anyway, so I picked a different one at random, and I'm going first today, so...
Yes. Speaking of also reading books, one of my New Year's resolutions this year was to read 100 books. So I started a Goodreads, and once I have more than 1.5 books on it, I will share it, I guess, on the podcast, since we've had a couple people ask about it.
Yeah.
Not exclusively reading mythology or folklore, but, if you're interested in that.
Maybe at the end of this, we can also talk about the books that we're currently reading. You could talk about the book that you are reading now. We could do a little book segment at the end of the podcast.
Yeah, a little mini-sode.
Oh my god, we're gonna do a tiny little, just at the end, just throwing in that we're smart and we do read things other than trashy fairy tales.
Yeah, the first thing I read was a novella that was 180 pages long, and I've started it 7 times over the past couple of years, and it took me 5 hours. So books take a long time to read. Give us a break.
5 hours is not that long. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go first.
Okay, cool.
So, I got a book called Tales of Superhuman Powers, 55 Traditional Stories from Around the World. It's by, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this name, Shenga Varagzalta. And basically, they did this book is amazing. It's one of my favorite purchases I have made in the past couple months, besides my Oculus.
Jesus Christ.
But it goes through and it has different segments, right? So on tales literally from around the world, not just the Irish and Nordic ones, but about anybody with supernatural powers. And so the first one is part 1, physical powers. And they also classify this as the classics. So superhuman strength, invulnerability, flight, heightened senses, speed, invisibility, color changing, growth, eye beams, sonic blasts, those are all in here as folk tales from around the world that have
that's cool.
And then they have stories in between there that coincide. Part 2 is It's All in Your Head, mind games, mental prowess, and the power of knowledge. So we have precognition, astral projection, telepathy, telekinesis, illusion, technomancy, animal speech. That's one in there. Part 3 is At the Mercy of the Elements, powers of water, fire, earth, and air, and ice, and transitional powers is part 4. So it's just really cool. And also it's written in a really funny way because they're writing it themselves and they're very kind of sarcastic and funny. And so you have their little notes. And in all of the actual, I'm showing Max, in all of the actual stories, they show the title, they show the ability, the source of the power, where the origin of the story is from, what age group it fits, and they also list their sources of where they got these tales. And they have... Sometimes they have the variants, so they say Arns Thompson type 513. They'll put that in there as well.
That's sick.
This is a cool thing.
Transitional powers, is that shape-shifting and stuff like that? Or...
I believe. Let's see. It actually says it.
When drawings come to life, teleportation, phasing, shifters, human shifting, animal shifting. Cool.
Yeah.
Plant shifting. Hello.
The weretiger is one of the thing. Yeah, this is cool as hell.
Amazing. I'm so excited to hear the story.
Yeah, so I was going to do another story. That's a long thing to say. I was going to do another one, and then I realized I needed more time to actually get into it. Weird. And so I flipped open this book at random, and I was like, I'm going to do this thing where it could backfire, and this could be a really bad story, or a really short one or something. Mm-hmm. But I'm just going to flip open at random, and it blew my mind. I was meant to do this one today. So,
hell yeah.
This is called The Daughter of the Sun. It is from Italy/Algeria, and I'm going to let you figure out what you think this is. Okay.
Sick.
Okay.
I didn't realize Italy and Algeria were anywhere near each other.
I think they just have the same story, too.
Oh, cool.
Oh, and Pepper's here on the table.
Pepper, no tea for babies. No tea for babies. Get.
So, once upon a time, Max, and Pepper, I'm sorry to leave you out. Once upon a time, there was a king and a queen, and they were truly madly, deeply in love. They were so happy, right? They had everything they could need. Their kingdom was very happy, except for one thing. Can you guess their one thing that they were missing?
A baby?
A baby. So, they could not have a child. So, every day, the king and the queen would just pray and beg and plead and cry until one day the gods finally granted them a daughter, and she was beautiful, and they were so happy. Naturally, once you have this child, the king called all the fortune tellers in the kingdom to him, and they were like, hey, what's our daughter's future? Which is a bad idea, as we know. Never ask that.
Don't ask, don't tell as far as oracles are concerned.
Yeah. Just, you know what? Kill all your oracles.
Album title.
Oh, kill your oracles.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so they are told by the oracles, this is a quote, "We are deeply sorry to tell you this, Your Highness, but all the signs say the same. Your daughter will bear a child to the sun before she turns 16 years old."
But that's her dad.
S-U-N.
Oh,
what are you talking about? Oh yeah, this is the king and queen. They've had a daughter, and now this daughter is going to have the daughter of the sun.
The son of the sun?
The daughter.
The daughter is going to have the son of the sun?
No,
or the daughter of the sun?
The daughter is going to have a little girl. You know what? Daughters can have girl babies.
So the daughter of the king and queen is going to have the daughter of the
sun.
S-U-N son. The soul son.
Before she turns 16.
Oh, that's the problem. Okay.
Oh,
I was really caught up in...
We think that's going to be the problem?
I thought that the son was her dad, and I was like, oh god, I don't like this story.
No. We think the problem is that she's going to be a teen mom. But it says immediately the king is upset because they didn't say she would be married to the sun. And then he's like, she's a mortal princess. The sun is royalty and a god. Oh no. Like he's never going to want to marry our mortal princess. And so he's like, I can't let this happen. My daughter will be ruined. And so he decides to try to kind of break fate, right? Like he's like, I don't want this to happen. Break the prophecy.
As people always do.
Always. And that's what causes things. So the king builds a tower. A super tall tower, and there's only one window at the very, very, very top, and it's so high up that the sun can never reach down to the bottom. And he takes his newborn baby and a nurse also has a newborn baby. She has a daughter as well. And he moves them into the tower, and he says,
I know where this is going.
Max has a sly little grin. This isn't where it's going, and I'm sorry to tell you.
It isn't a switched at birth situation?
No.
Damn.
So he puts them all in this tower, and that's where this girl grows up, and he decrees, she can never see the sun, she can never leave, until she reaches 16 years old. And that way, I've broken the prophecy, right? Clearly, the sun can never find her.
Oh, I know what this is.
So.
I do know what this is, though.
You think you know what this is. I thought I knew what this was. I didn't. Okay.
Alrighty.
So, they're in this tower every day, and these two little girls grow up together, and they're playing, and they're the best of friends, they have only each other. It's a very boring life. And one day the nurse leaves, and she's like, okay, I'm going, and she leaves them to play, because she's going to go get food for them, right? She can come and go, but the kids can't leave. And while she's gone, the two little girls, they are 15 years old now, right? And they're like, let's go see the sun. You know what? That's it. Nobody's told me why we're in here, and I want to see what's up at that window. And so...
Communication is at the core of every problem in every
fairy tale is just a cautionary tale on maybe you should just say what you mean.
Learn to speak to the people you care about. If you're trying to protect them, tell them why and how.
So they take all the furniture in the house, and they start stacking it up, and they lift each other up, and finally they reach the window, and they both peek their little heads up, and the son looks down, and he sees this beautiful girl sitting there, and she's like, wow, and she's so pale, because she's never once seen the sun. She has a severe vitamin D deficiency. And he's like, that's the one I want.
And he's like, that vitamin D,
oh
I got that.
You want that vitamin D? Whoop, whoop. And all the clouds are like, oh no, he did it!
Sonny D on the mic!
He looks down and he's like, that girl is fucking sick! Oh!
Yeah, there's a cloud in the background that just starts beatboxing.
And he starts doing the worm. That's pretty good beat.
Thanks.
Kind of wet.
Yeah, it was really wet. I didn't know what I was doing when I started, so I made a mistake.
Yeah, but you fucking stuck the landing. I appreciated it.
Yeah, I was trying to reject Boots Cats, but I should have just gone with the classics.
Trying to reject. I'm not here for you, Boots and Cats. Mm-mm. So he looks down at her. It only takes, he reaches out a ray and touches her cheek, and it brings a blush to her cheek, and he's like, oh, cool. And then 9 months later, she has a baby. I think that's what impregnated her. I think him touching her cheek, that was it. Which is a bummer. That's not cool, man.
Yeah. So you gotta be careful with your sun feelers if they're able to impregnate. You just gotta.
You can't just go touching people everywhere.
No.
So the nurse, when this when this girl, before she's 16, gives birth to this shining, smiling baby girl, the nurse is like, oh shit, I'm gonna get beheaded. Like, I had one job and I didn't do it well. Also, she didn't have one job. She literally had to raise their child.
Yeah.
So,
several jobs.
Yeah. So she takes this baby, right? The nurse is like, crap, nobody can know. Only the 3 of them in the tower know. So she's like, crap. So she takes the baby, she wraps it up, she walks out into the middle of the woods, and she leaves it in the middle of the woods. And she just hopes that nobody will ever know. And then she comes back. So she's abandoned this infant in the woods. Then the girl's 16th birthday comes, and then everybody starts, like, celebrating. The tower gates are thrown open. She's welcomed back into her house, and no one knows about the baby. Now, the daughter of the sun, right, that's who we're at now, right? That's the story is called The Daughter of the Sun. Mm-hmm. The daughter of the sun is lying in the middle of the woods, and she's cold, and she's hungry, and she's helpless because she's an infant, and she's crying, and a neighboring kingdom's king is going through the woods, and he's, like, hunting, and he hears this cry, and he's like, what is that? So he follows it, and he finds this baby, and she's beautiful, and she's so small, and he's like, oh, so he picks her up and he brings her home. Now, his wife just had a son, right? So they have a baby boy, and he's like, we could just raise this daughter with us, and she's like, yeah, and so they decide to keep her in the castle, and they help bring her up. And so now she's living in the castle, and the boy and the girl, they are raised basically together as, like, friends, right? They go to school together, they spend all their time together, they make each other laugh, and eventually when they get older, they do fall kind of madly in love with each other. And everyone's like, aw, that's sweet, like, this really pretty girl they found in the woods, and all this, and this prince, and the king's like, yeah, that's not fucking happening. Like, they can grow up together, fine, but, like, she's an orphan. Nobody. She can't marry my son.
She's a woods baby.
She's a woods baby. Gross. What the hell? I hate her. So, page 2.
Ooh.
He decides he's gonna banish her. And so...
What the hell?
Because the son's in love with her.
That's her, basically her dad.
Yeah. So, he builds a cottage.
That's a shitty dad.
He builds a cottage in the woods for her, far, far away. And he, like, for the second time, she's kicked out into the middle of the woods. She's like, this sucks. And so, then he immediately finds a neighboring princess who is rich and beautiful, and he betroths his son to this neighboring princess. Mm-mm. Okay.
All of fairy tales and folklore is built on the backs of shitty fathers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Men not saying what they mean. Mm-hmm. So, a wedding is planned, right? And then they have messengers go deliver all of the invitations. I'm imagining the beetle butts from the Filipino story adult.
Good.
Anyway, but it's not them. It's just regular messengers. So they're holding letters, and they go everywhere. And the prince, on his list of close friends that he demands to be invited to the wedding, he has this girl's name, because he's like, she's my closest friend. Like, she has to come. I don't care. Go find her. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, okay. So the messengers go to her cottage in the middle of the woods, and they knock. And she comes to the door without a head. She's a body with no head. And the messengers all open their mouths to scream. And she says, in a cheerful voice, this is a quote, "Oh, I am so sorry. Silly me. I was brushing my hair and I forgot my head on the table. Just a second, please. I'll be right back." And then she goes and she puts her head back on and she comes back in and she has her head now. And they're like, what the fuck? And so they throw the envelope basically at her and then they run away. Mm-hmm. So she gets the invite. She gets all dressed up. She goes to the wedding. She's waiting in the line and she's like, wow, I can't wait to see my good friend. And she's all happy. And then she looks and she realizes everybody's giving presents. And she's like, oh shit, of course they're giving presents. I forgot a present. Like,
does this end with her giving him head?
Oh, I wish. I mean, maybe. I don't know. So she gets like, she's like, oh no, I forgot this. She slaps herself on the forehead and she's like, okay, actually, I got this. So she walks over to the fireplace. She reaches her hands in and she says, fire, burn! And the flames burst out and they're so hot and they're like sparking everywhere and people are jumping back like, ah! What? Like, she looks back and she grins at them. And her hands catch on fire as she's, like, grinning wildly. Ah! And she brings her hands up and every one of her fingers is, on fire. Like, they're a bunch of candles. And she's like, hi, my gift to you is a dance. And then she, like, claps her fire hands together.
I like to think that this is also, like, right as everyone's coming in for the ceremony, like, sitting down and everything, and she sees the presents and panics, and it's not present giving time, and, like, nobody is paying attention, and then she lights everything on fire, and she's like, I'm gonna dance!
It's time for me to dance
This is just the depiction of a social anxiety attack.
It's definitely a nightmare I've had.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh, I didn't bring a present. Everyone's gonna know. And now I'm on fire.
Oh, and they're making me do a dance.
It's horrible.
This is my nightmare.
They're making me. I just started doing a dance and now I can't get over it. So she starts to dance with her flame fingers and sparks are falling everywhere. And everyone is like staring in horror. Except for the prince. He's super into it. He's like, look at my talented friend who's so good at dancing. And she's so pretty. And I love her fire fingers. That's what I call her. And so everyone's like super like in awe. But his bride looks over at him and she's pissed because he sees that he's so in love with her. He literally is just grinning like an idiot and he's just staring at her like he thinks she's so cool. And this bride's like, no, that's insane. So she goes, if she can do that, I can do that. And so she walks over to the fireplace and she goes, watch this. And she shoves her hands in the flames and immediately just maims herself. And she's like, oh, I'm not impervious to flame. Turns out that's not something that you can just do.
It's not just girly things?
Oh, no.
I thought this was just girly things.
And so now she's maimed and the wedding is canceled. It's off.
So what?
They can't get married. she just burned herself. And so the king is...
like a very good reason.
The king is pissed, right? He's like, no, my perfect match. And so what he does is he...
Poor phrasing.
So the king is like really pissed off. He finds another young princess, right? He's like, fine, I found another princess. She's beautiful and she's rich and she's from another kingdom. Like, it's still a good match. So they get together. They send out all of the wedding invitations immediately. The messengers go to the sun daughter's cottage, right? Now they're like, okay, maybe the first time was a fluke. It's gonna be okay. They knock on the door, like, confidently. They're like, this is fine. I think we made up the next part. Like, I think we didn't see what we saw. And instead of coming through the door, they're waiting for a while, and they're like, hello? And she's like, oh. And she walks through the wall like a ghost, like, next to her. She just, like, walks straight through. And they're like, oh, no! And she's like, quote, I'm sorry, the door is stuck. I can't open it from the inside. What can I help you with? And they're like, good God. This is the worst day of my life. And so they give her the invitation, and then they run away, and she goes to the wedding. She's all dressed up. She's waiting in the line, and she realizes a second time, shit, I forgot a gift again.
Ugh.
Just, no, you didn't. You want to show off. So the same thing happens. She goes to the fire. She says, fire burn. The fireplace, like, bursts into flames. Everybody's like, again! Like, a huge gasp goes up. Then she just walks straight into the fireplace and disappears. And everyone's like, oh no, she just burnt to cinders in a matter of seconds. That's terrible. So everybody's like really horrified. And after a second, she comes back out, right? But now she's wearing the most beautiful cape anybody has ever seen. It's all colors of the sunset. There's like reds and golds and violets up near her neck, and it's fastened around her neck with a golden pin. And everyone's like, what? This is beautiful. And she walks up to the prince and she hands it to him and she says, this is my wedding gift to you. And he's like, thanks. I love you. Like, I love you so much. Thank you for the cool cape. And his bride is pissed. And she's like, okay, well, that's not a big deal. That's how I make all of my clothes. Like, that's also how I get all my clothes. So, like, she's not special. And the prince is like, oh, yeah? I would like to see that.
Oh no, like, he's implicated
immediately calls her bluff because he's annoyed at her. He's like, cool, show us. That would be great. What a cool wedding present to me, your husband. And she's like, fine. And so she gets up very confidently. She walks to the fireplace. She sticks her foot in, and immediately her foot just catches on fire. She's screaming. It is a huge thing. Then she's maimed. She can't walk. The other king's like, we're not marrying you. You just asked her to walk into a fireplace. And so... Good. Yeah. And so then they call off the wedding. So now the king is, like, really pissed. He's like, how is this happening? Like, I hate this. But somehow he finds a third pretty rich princess. And he's like, that's it. You're getting married. This is the one. And they're like, sure. The messengers arrive at the door, right? Now they're just like, this is the worst. They're basically crawling on their bellies. And they knock, and nobody answers the door of the cottage. Right? And they're like, oh, where is she? And they knock again. They wait for, like, kind of a while, and they're like, oh my god, maybe she's dead. Like, maybe she's not, oh no. And
or maybe she has a life.
Oh, yeah.
She's obviously got things going on. Like, she can pop her head off, and it hasn't come into the story yet. It's just something that they happen to encounter.
It just is a thing that walk through walls, like... Yeah. She's doing her own cool things. I know, Pepper. Like, they're just... I know, Pepper. So... after they knock the third time... Also,
if you exile someone, you don't get to expect them to be wherever you need them to be at a given time.
Yeah.
Like,
maybe she met some friends in the forest.
Yeah, maybe she's in a different kingdom.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Maybe she's just busy living her life, you know?
Yeah, leave her alone.
Mind your business.
They knock that third time. And then she comes, as they're like kind of breathing sighs of relief, she comes flying around the cottage from the sky. And she says, I'm so sorry to keep you waiting. I just had to fly real quick. They're like, you can fly too. And she's like freaking out. So they like throw the letters at her and they just run away. And they're like, we're never coming back. This is so scary. Like, at least she was flying with her head on. Like, imagine if she didn't have her head.
And also she was on fire.
Here comes Pepper. Why are you being such a brat? So, she goes to the wedding, and she realizes, again, she didn't bring a gift. And she was like, well, that's not a problem, because apparently I could just do whatever I want. So she picks up a knife from the table, and she goes, here's my gift to you. And she cuts off her ear.
Ah!
And then...
I thought it was going to be more magic stuff. I thought she was going to be like, and here's my gift to you, and then stab him, and be like, stop inviting me to your weddings.
And he's like, I love you. Then she starts to pull a wedding veil out of her ear, like a magic scarf.
Important question. Out of the ear or out of the ear hole?
Out of the ear hole, out of her head.
What? Okay, gross.
Yeah, she's cut off her ear. Like she's pulling out this... This is kind of magic. It's a never-ending wedding veil. It's pretty cool. The wedding veil is beautiful. It's delicate golden lace. It looks like a spider web. It shines, all this stuff.
And it's covered in earwax and blood.
It's not. It's like perfectly clean. They make a point to say that. Because then she takes it, she folds it up, and she hands it to the bride, and she says, here you go, happy wedding. and the prince is like, that's so thoughtful. Like, wow, thank you. And the bride's like, this is gross as shit. And then she takes her ear and she pops it back on like nothing. She's like, oh, yeah. She just reattaches it. And so the bride is jealous. And she's like, I can do that. I can do that. Like, everyone can do that. That's not special. And the prince is like, I don't think everyone can do that. And she's like, yes, they can. Watch. And she picks up the knife and she cuts off her ear. And blood spurts everywhere. All over the prince. All over the guests. People are screaming. She's screaming. She's like, ah! Now she's made for life. This is going to sound really weird to you, but the wedding is canceled.
That's crazy. Wild. I do appreciate all three of these princesses committing to the bit. They're not like, oh... I lied. I was jealous. I'm sorry. They're like, okay, I'll cut off my fucking ear. I don't give a shit.
I can't even. All right, so the wedding is canceled. The girl goes back to her, the daughter of the sun goes back to her cottage, right? And then the prince, who is so in love with this girl, like everything that's happened makes him love her more. And so he ends up falling ill out of sheer longing, right? Now he's inconsolable. He's getting sicker and sicker. The king is like, oh shit, like, this is really bad. Like, my son might die. And so he ends up, like, realizing, like, the only one powerful enough to do anything is probably this girl. Like, obviously this all stemmed from her. So he calls for her. She goes, they, like, get her out of the woods. She comes to the castle. The king, like, begs her to help his son. And she's like, of course I will. So she goes to the kitchen, and she starts to make a soup, right? And she gets all these herbs, all these magical secret ingredients. She puts them all together. She goes to his bedside and, like, pats his forehead. And she's like, it's okay, I'm going to make you better. And she takes a spoonful, and she puts it in his mouth. And it tastes so bad because she's a really bad cook. And they specifically said it's really sour. And I was like, that sounds like great soup. It's me. The one whose soup is just lemon juice and salt. And he ends up spitting it right back into her face. And she's like, how dare you spit into my face? I am the daughter of the sun. What the hell? And so then they get into this huge fight where he's like, you are feeding me what tastes like just lemon juice and salt? And she's like, delicious soup. Mwah, good soup. And so they're in this huge, like, shouting match. Nobody gets hurt, but they're just, like, fighting, like, because they're both really pissed off at each other now. And the king's on the other side of the door going, wait a minute. She's the daughter of the sun? That makes her royalty. What amazing. And so he walks in and he's like, guess what? You have my blessing. And they're like, what? What a good guy who has no ulterior motives. And so then the two get married and they live happily ever after. That's the end of the story.
Wild.
Okay, so the book makes a point to note that there are several different endings, right? And in most of the other endings, they actually don't live happily ever after. So there's an ending from a version from Abruzzi. I don't know what that is. where the daughter of the sun gets fed up because he never stands up for her. And so she keeps coming up and being like, here's the thing. And he just like sits there and like lets himself get betrothed to all these people. And she's like, that sucks. Like, you're not allowed to say that you love me and then continually do this and invite me to your wedding. Like, that's fucked up. Yeah, so she has all of the good reactions. And so finally she does this. She basically ruins his marriage 3 times, and he's like, great. And then at the end, I think he's like, you know, now we can be together. And she's like, I don't fucking want you. I wanted to make a point. And then she flies up and she joins her father at her father, the sun.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's the version I like. Then there's an Algerian version where she marries the prince first. So, like, she gets married right away. But she has, like, a spell on her that makes it so she can't talk. And since she doesn't talk to him, he starts taking other wives. And he's, like, cheating on her a bunch. And the girl, the daughter of the sun, tricks them into hurting themselves constantly until the spell that keeps her silent is finally broken.
Kind of like a sort of a reverse of the evil stepmother thing, where it's like she's, like, his wife and has to, like, fight off all of these other women, kind of, instead of being...
Yeah, it's kind of like a reverse Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
I like it.
Mm-hmm. But that is the daughter of the sun.
Wow.
A story that I truly had no idea where it was going from one page to the next.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was going to be a baby swap, and then it was just Danae and the Golden Shower. Which is, if you don't know, it's a Greek myth. Basically, this girl has the same thing happen where they're like, she's going to have the daughter of Zeus, and her dad locks her away underground so that Zeus can't get to her, and then she finds this, like, little crack in the ceiling, and she looks up through it, and Zeus turns himself into a golden rain and drops on her face, and she gets pregnant.
Golden shower.
Yeah.
That is the origin story of Perseus, and the specific, again, don't get fucking prophecies.
Yeah.
But the prophecy that he got was, your daughter's gonna have a son and he's gonna murder you. And he was like, I guess I should just not kill my daughter because, like, that'd be bad. I'll just lock her away and hopefully she starves to death in the tower. Fun. Man. Then I won't be killing her. And then after she has the baby, this kills me. After she has the baby, they put her in he's like, oh no, it's Zeus's baby, so I can't kill this baby even though it's gonna kill me. So what I'll do is I'll put them in a boat with no supplies and with no sailing expertise, and I'll just send them out into the ocean, and then they'll die on their own.
Surely this won't become the tragic backstory that is the reason why it kills me.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. It is. It has a bunch of things. I thought it was going to be Rapunzel. There's a tower, there's the sun, in fact, the Disney version of Rapunzel was so heavily, like, sun-centered that I really think that they read this story somehow and, like, took elements of this, you know?
Yeah. Pretty cool. I like it. Cool superpowers. Lots of really cool superpowers in that one.
I'm going to be reading a bunch more superpower books, but, like, that one had a lot of cool ones.
That's fun.
Also, the fact that she could just take off her head or, like, walk through walls. Yeah, that's not something the sun can do. No. Like, that's not, like, classic sun.
Yeah, the sun can't go through walls. That's why there are windows.
That's why they put her in a tower.
Anyways,
good.
I like that a lot.
A tiny break.
Yes, please.
Okay, we'll be back. Okay.
So it's my story now. Like I said, I was stuck in Cozumel for almost 2 weeks. Also, our luggage got lost on the way there, so we didn't have any possessions for the first, 4 days, and then we got our luggage, and it was wet, and we were like, oh, well, at least now finally we can, go to the beach, because we have swimsuits and stuff, and then literally, 4 hours later, we found out we had COVID and had to quarantine. So we did a grand total of 2 things while we were in Cozumel. We went downtown for lunch to a place that I went with a friend of mine many, many years ago for breakfast, every single day. And while we were on the way there, we passed this statue. And my partner, Alex, I was distracted by panicking about not having any of her things. And he was like, ooh, a witch. I was like, what? And he was like, there's just a really cool statue of a witch. This was on the way into town. And then on the way back out of town, I saw it and I looked it up and everything. And I tried to find out what her deal was. So on Cozumel, there's a statue of effectively a witch. Her name is Ix Chel. She is a Mayan goddess. She is frequently depicted as in this statue as having snakes for hair and a skirt made of crossed bones, and she has Her face sometimes has like a symbol which means like a panther's eye, or she'll have panther claws or feet or something like that.
Cool.
She is super cool.
And I'm looking at a picture.
Yes. So this is Ix Chel. She is a Mayan goddess.
Oh, she's cool as shit.
Yeah, she's
very cool. Is she in front
cool.
of a blood river?
Probably.
Cool.
Let's see. Oh no, I think the water's just red for some reason. I don't know why.
Blood.
Unrelated. So Cozumel is an island off the coast of Mexico, the Quintana Roo province, the Yucatan Peninsula, basically. It is a smallish island. It's actually it's a coral shelf that is big enough to sustain an island, which they have a bunch of like ecological initiatives and stuff on the island because of parrotfish eating the coral and stuff like that. So there's a lot of like coral preservation and marine preservation stuff that happens there, which is really cool.
I love how destructive parrotfish are. They look like big little stupid cartoons, but they are ruining the ocean.
Yeah, they're the dumbest supervillains of the sea. So we saw this statue of the goddess Ix Chel, and so I decided to do some research on her. So I don't know a ton about Mayan mythology. I learned a little bit for this, but this is a very specific subsection of the Mayan pantheon that I went into. The Mayan pantheon is massive. There are upwards of 150 gods and goddesses of the Mayan pantheon.
Cool.
A lot of them have very similar domains. So there are like 14 gods and goddesses of the moon and like 8 of childbirth, and like the rain is like 20 and stuff like that. So like they're all like specific within that. The problem is that Mayan cultures, Aztec cultures were conquered brutally. So there are a lot of colonial influences on the later mythology of both the Aztecs and the Mayans. There's also very little record of stories. A lot of the stories that we have are based on sort of like reverse projection from myths of cultures that sort of came after. So we can sort of see the iconography and we can see the stories and pictures, but there aren't like written records or anything like that. So there's very little that we actually know about like the stories of Mayan mythology. There are also lots of gods and goddesses that are unidentified, where we see them in murals and they have very specific iconography and they seem to have a lot of significance, but we don't know anything about them.
So like at the time there were people who just kind of knew all 150 of these things. Like that's wild.
It's also regional though. I mean, Mayan cultures, like there would be like specific areas would focus on specific gods and goddesses. Some of them had like alternatives, or they would have their own. There are like 8 different creation myths for Mayan mythology as far as I can tell. So it's very like, it's not like a, the obelisk of Mayan mythology. It's a bunch of different like minor, like smaller mythologies that combine to form the larger Mayan mythology. So long explanation of Mayan mythology that probably isn't necessary. Also pertinent is if you've ever seen The Road to El Dorado.
Yes, best movie ever.
You'll be familiar with the idea of Xibalba.
Yes.
Which is
Xibalba?
Yes. Xibalba, also called Metnal, I believe, Xibalba is the Yucatec version. Metnal is the Quiche Mayan version of the underworld, basically. That's where all souls, regardless of good, evil, whatever, go. And the entrance to Xibalba is usually through cenotes, which are these water formations in Mexico that are like these very, very deep pools that form, basically.
Like they had in the movie.
Exactly.
It was like a whirlpool.
Yeah. So that would be, so that's more of a whirlpool. These are like lakes that are sometimes like partially cavernous, like they're underground a little bit or something like that. So it was thought, if you swim into one of these underground lakes and into the caves, then you go to Xibalba. So
that's cool.
Just a quick primer. So Ix Chel, she is a goddess. Again, snakes and hair, sometimes jaguar features, sometimes has like bones on her clothing. She's also sometimes considered a warrior goddess. But primarily she's the goddess of childbirth and of women and of like the moon and divination, witchcraft, medicine.
God, I love her.
Yeah, she's
so Alex is
sick
right.
as hell.
She's a witch.
Yeah, he was 100% right.
That's so cute.
Right on site. She's very, very cool. She is, like I said, one of the patrons of women. And so there was a pilgrimage that would happen to the island of Cozumel from mainland Mexico of women who, it was sort of like a fertility rite, where if you were praying to get pregnant, or if you were praying for, especially also women would pray that their husbands would like their kids. which is heartbreaking.
That's so sad.
So there was that pilgrimage to Cozumel. There was also a pilgrimage to a smaller island off the coast of Cozumel called Isla Mujeres, which is Island of Women. And that island is really, really small, but it is just covered in all of these idols of female goddesses, and especially Ix Chel. Mm-hmm. I'll also mention Ix Chel is one of the two names of this goddess, as well as Ix Chel. Ix Chel is usually the younger depiction, who is more associated with the moon and with, sort of youth and abundance and stuff like that. Ix Chel is the older version, who always has like the snakes in her hair. She's usually depicted as sort of crone-like, with like more non-human characteristics, like the jaguar pieces and everything like that. And she also is like the warrior, witchcraft, darkness sort of aspect. But also in the form of Ix Chel, the older version, she is specifically the goddess of womanly revenge, where it's just like, hey, if your husband hits you, kill him.
Ix Chel, yes.
Which is great. I love her a bunch. And like I said, the mythology is a little bit muddied over time, and there's a lot of really good scholarship about it, but a lot of it isn't available to me, who doesn't have a JSTOR account. So
oh god, I used to have a JSTOR account.
I know, I miss it so much.
Wow.
So Ix Chel is, the Mayan mythology is a lot about like parallels and duality. So she's always depicted as being the partner of a male god. Almost all the time, that god is Itzamna, who's also named Kinijaho, who is the god of the sun, the god of creation, the god of fire, and arithmetic.
Makes sense.
Exactly. So she's the moon. Sometimes she's also depicted as being married to Chak, the brother of Itzamna. Chak is the god of rain and thunder and storms, basically.
This is some drama.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Ix Chel.
So, also, she is Ix Chel and Ix Chel both translate to various meanings of rainbow.
Cute.
Rainbows in Mayan mythology were harbingers of doom.
Okay, never mind.
Which is also really cool, and like the whole duality of like her being a goddess of like creation and childbirth, but also like destruction. She's the goddess of the moon, which pulls the tides, and so as being the rainbow, rainbows were often considered signs of like plague or pestilence, famine, all that. So, yeah. She's a weaver goddess. Also, she weaves at the spindle in the center of the universe. She's often depicted being holding like a jar which has like water flowing out of it. She holds it upside down, which could mean the apocalypse, like the flood that ends the world, or it could mean like the rains that bring the crops, or it could mean the changing of the seasons, or it could mean childbirth.
Depends on her mood.
Yep. On Cozumel, there was said to be, during that pilgrimage, they would go to a specific statue of Ix Chel, and they would pray for their child to be born healthy, for their husband to love their child, to become pregnant, etc. It was said that there was an oracle that would hide inside of the statue and tell them, whatever they needed to hear. Huh. She also had a feast in her honor, the Feast of Ix Chel, in which shamans and doctors would bring medicine to one central area. So if you needed treatment, you would wait, I guess, for the Feast of Ix Chel.
Hopefully you'd make it.
Yeah, there you go. So there are a couple different sources for this one. Like I said, I had a little bit of a hard time finding stories, but I have like 3 smallish stories about her that I'm going to tell. This one is from Alma's LDS Tours Cancun. It's a tour company. But this is one of the early stories of Ix Chel, like her sort of origin story. Ix Chel was a Mayan princess. She was so beautiful that suitors would come from cities all around to come see her. But nothing ever came of it because she was in love with a priest named Itzamna from Bacalar, which is a city nearby. She fell madly in love with him. He was in love with her, but they weren't allowed to marry because he was a priest and she was a princess. A prince from another city, whose name we don't know for a very good reason, he came to the city, he saw Ix Chel, this beautiful princess, and he fell in love with her. He didn't know that she was already in love with someone. So he started courting her and everything, and she just kind of brushed him off. And he was like, well, I just have to try harder because men. Ix Chel had a sister named Ishtab.
Okay.
She knew that both of these men were in love with Ix Chel. And she was like, why don't we just fuck around with that for a little bit? So she told the 2 guys, she was like, boys, this other guy wants to marry Ix Chel.
Oh.
But I think you should marry Ix Chel.
Oh, I think you should talking about each other.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. She was like, you guys should fight to the death about it.
Each time is a mood.
Yeah, she's like, why don't you guys fucking duel about it, idiots? So the 2 men duel, and Itzamna, the priest, almost wins, and then the prince cheats. And he catches him, and he cuts Itzamna, and then when he's down, he kills him.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Ix Chel is devastated. She doesn't want to be without Itzamna, and so she decides to commit suicide, which in Mayan culture is considered more honorable than living a useless life, which is kind of a bummer.
All right. Sure.
Content warning.
Yeah, trigger warning. She said something fucked up earlier.
Yeah. Ix Chel decides to commit suicide. She sort of gives her soul to her sister Ishtab for safekeeping, and then she hangs herself. She ascends and becomes the goddess of the moon, and because of her sacrifice, Itzamna also ascends and he becomes the god of the sun, and they become sort of the father and mother of the gods.
Okay.
Which begs the question, what was he a priest of? But there's probably a
bunch of orphan gods running around without a father and a mother.
There's probably a very simple answer to that I did not Google. But
Daddy's home.
Gross.
No, all right.
I mean, so they're up in the sky. Itzamna creates all the stars in the sky as sort of devotion to Ix Chel, and each of the stars is said to represent a maiden who died too young. So women who die in the same way that Ix Chel did become stars.
So many stars.
That's a lot of stars.
What shit.
Back on Earth, Ishtab, who again is a fucking mood, she becomes the goddess of suicide and the goddess of a noble death.
Oh, God.
Yeah, specifically, like, depicted in the same way as sort of like the Fool in tarot, where she's depicted as being herself sort of rotten and hanging, and it's messed up. But she goes to this prince, I guess forgetting that she was the one who put him up to this. She goes to this prince, and she's like, "You're the reason my sister is dead. You will be forgotten. You will be erased from history, and no one will remember your name." And that's why we don't know who the prince is.
As Max is over here telling his story.
Yeah. Yep. So he was just erased from history.
Jesus.
Bye, asshole.
See ya later.
Everyone else became gods, and he became an eraser smudge on history. So fuck that asshole. And that's it. So that's that story. That's sort of the like mortal to immortal iteration of Ix Chel. I have my sources just in order of which ones I consulted. So I also got some information from the Spanish Academy Antigüeña, but I didn't know which information. So if you would like to know more, that is a place that I looked. In the Aktunchen National Park website, they have the story of Kinich Ahau, who was, again, he's sort of an aspect of Itzamna. This is when they're already gods. Ix Chel is the moon goddess. Every day she sort of controls the pull of the tides and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And she is in love with Kinichaho, who is the god of the sun. And every single one of the gods in the Mayan pantheon is in love with her because she is beautiful. She is charming. She's talented. She's the moon.
She's the moon. God, you know what? No one ever calls me the moon, you know?
What's up, moon?
I was gonna say, she's charming, she's talented. Now she has a baby. Congratulations. Our moon has a moon, guys.
Aww.
And it's called a moon. Thank you, Hank Green. Anyway.
Not our moon, but some moons.
No, our moon has a moon now.
It does?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a baby.
Aw.
Yeah.
Congrats, moon.
Yeah.
That's adorable.
I'm gonna look this up as you do this. Hold on. Now I'm like, I'll look it up after.
Okay.
What if I'm lying? Again, all today I've been doubting everything I've said confidently. It's one of those days.
One of them days. So Ix Chel was loved by every single god except for Kinichaho. She chased him across the sky. That's like the cycle of the moon and sun, is her just trying to get his attention and chasing him across the sky.
Oh no!
Unfortunately, she became so obsessed with chasing him that she started getting like out of sync, which caused like floods and droughts and famine. And she didn't notice because she was so like obsessed with just following him.
Go get your man.
Finally, she decides to make him a gift. She makes him a gown by hand, and it's the most beautiful thing he's ever seen. A lot of weird parallels between our two stories.
I was gonna say,
we didn't talk about these ahead of time.
The gifts and
like the gown and the
cool.
cape.
There's a theme.
So she makes him this beautiful gown thing, and he's like, fine, it's beautiful, I'll love you, whatever. They get married, and she has 4 half-jaguar sons, which are called the Bakabs. They're 4 like pantheon deities, which they're half jaguar. They're very, very fast. You can't see them at night because of how fast they are. And they hold up the four corners of the world. Cool. So you have like the sky, which has the sun and the moon in it. And then there are four suns who hold up the corners of the world. After she has the kids, though, she gets hot again, or like stayed hot. She's just like super hot always. She's still super hot after she has sons.
Like sexy, like she's physically hot. Okay. Yeah. I thought you said after she had her kids, she got hot. And I was like, oh no, because she's sleeping with a son?
Oh no. Oh no.
I don't want to say that like she had her babies and then burned up.
No, I would never. So she's like super hot after she has the babies. Mm-hmm. And this makes Kinajaho super like jealous. What? He's like, okay, so my wife is still hot and that's messed up. And he's like, she could just be cheating on me. She could already have cheated. These could not even be my sons. God. These could be my brother's sons. Ew. And so he makes himself so jealous that he decides to punish her for something that she hasn't done. Oh my God. And he strikes her with a bolt of fire and casts her out of the sky. And she falls down to earth. And he immediately realizes what he's done, and he feels horrible. And he's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me.
Okay,
I'm crazy.
I'm the worst." Before. Okay, I know this guy. I fucking hate him.
He's like, "Please come back. I'm so sorry. It won't happen again." And she's like, "Yeah, it certainly fucking won't." And so she turns into a full jaguar, and she spends the rest of her life in like underground caves, helping women and like protecting women.
Fucking hell yeah, Ix Chel.
Yeah, she just never goes back.
Good for her.
I love her very much. So she basically just, like, helps women. She stays a jaguar, and she's like, fuck them boys, ladies. Also, I couldn't find any sources on this, but her being a jaguar underground, like I said, again, most of the cenotes are sort of, like, partially underground lakes. Yes. And considering that they are portals to Xibalba, I almost wonder if she's sort of like a psychopomp figure.
Oh, cool.
And I was looking, worldhistory.org has a list of Mayan deities. And I was just sort of scrolling through to try and get an idea of, like, what the different deities are like. Mm-hmm. And there is a deity. And again, this is just my personal, like, hypothesis. It has absolutely no basis in any factor research, except for the very simple research that I did for this podcast. But there is a deity called Apuk, who is a god, male. And he has literally all the exact same domains as Ix Chel. It's like, you know, like childbirth and witchcraft and divining and women and the moon and the tides and like all that. The only difference is that he's male and he's a god of Xibalba. So he's like the underworld equivalent of, but there's no reference to them being almost identical in every epithet. So that's just my personal theory about mythology, is that she's both.
That's cool as shit. Yeah. I would like that. I would like that.
So that's just my personal thing. I also referenced gods-and-goddesses.com because this is a very serious podcast. I also have a story from another podcast. This podcast is called Tres Cuentos, a literary podcast. It is run by Carolina Quiroga Stultz. Cool. And you can find this episode online. She retells a story from the book The Moon in the Well by Erica Helm Mead. And she basically, as far as I can tell, she rewrote it in her own words and then tells the story. And she has a beautiful voice. She's a spectacular storyteller. So if you guys want, the podcast is called Tres Cuentos, and you can find it on Google. Does she have a Mexican accent? Yes.
Okay, so I will say, when I was learning Chinese in China, I had a Mexican classmate. And I don't think I've ever heard anything as beautiful as somebody with a Mexican accent speaking Chinese. There was something about it that felt like you were falling asleep. Like, she had the most beautiful voice ever. Now, every time I hear the Mexican accent at all, I'm like, yeah.
That's Carolina Quiroga Stultz has this, like slow, like, rolling voice that's just beautiful.
Beautiful way.
And also, I couldn't find a ton on the website, but I think that this is her rewriting, and the rewriting itself is also beautiful. Mm-hmm. But again, the reference for the story is The Moon in the Well by Erica Helm Mead, which is a book of Mayan mythology. So this is the story of Ix Chel and the dragonflies.
Cute.
So Ix Chel, as I said, goddess of the moon, always busy. After she sort of, like, this is sort of a separate storyline, I guess, where she is not necessarily associated with the sun, aside from that they're like work buddies. So at this point, she's just the single goddess of the moon.
Yeah, she is.
And she, does her thing every day. She protects women, she controls the moon and the tides and everything, so she has a very busy day. But in the few moments that she has to herself, her favorite thing to do is she takes a canoe out in between the stars, and she just paddles the streams in between the stars. She likes to look up at the stars, and she'll hide herself in a cloak. So sometimes she'll just sort of like toss it over her shoulder, and sometimes she'll fully cover herself. So this is like the phases of the moon.
Yeah.
As she's going through the stars. Yeah. The sun, Itzamna, was in love with her. And so he would always like try and peek at dawn and dusk and try and catch a glimpse of her. And sometimes, you know, he would just see like just the corner of her earlobe or something outside of the cloak. Or sometimes he would see a whole shoulder. Mm-hmm. And so he was just like every day he would like peek over the horizon a little bit to try and see her. And she, you know, was like, didn't not notice, and so she would like let her cloak drop a little bit more over the shoulder, and he would be like, woo. And this went on for millennia of them just like weirdly flirting. So there are 2 seasons in this story, the season of calm and the season of storm.
Okay.
So half the year is calm, half the year is storms. This is pertinent specifically to Chuck, the god of storms.
Chuck.
Chaac, Chaac, or Chac. He is the god of storms, and so during the calm season, he gets really bored, and he is a nosy bitch. So Chaac goes and he visits grandfather in this story. As far as I can tell, this is equivalent to the god Hunadku, who is sort of a later addition to the pantheon after Christianization kind of overhauled it a little bit. So this is basically God. Yeah. And then Itzamna is Jesus. So just so we're aware.
Itzamna is the god of the sun that we've been hearing about. Okay, good.
Yeah, Itzamna is the god of the sun.
Got it.
And then Hunadku is the god of gods. Basically, he's the god figure, and then
he's Bowser. Yeah. He's the big bad. Got it.
Yep. So in this story, that he's called grandfather. So Chuck goes and pays grandfather a visit, and he's like, "Oh, grandfather, god of gods. I know you see everything. I see a lot too, being in the sky all the time. So, I just want to gossip with someone about this. Like, you've seen how the sun looks at Ix Chel, right?" And grandfather is like, "Yeah, I totally have." He hasn't. He wasn't paying attention. And Chuck is like, "Oh, I just can't believe." Like, it's almost like they're both, like, being bad at their jobs because they love each other so much. Aww. But, like, I don't think anyone's talking about this yet, but, like, it's crazy, right? And grandfather's like, "Yeah, it's really crazy." And so then Chuck leaves, and grandfather is alone, and he's thinking, and he's like, "Well, that can't happen, because they're the sun and the moon, and she's at night, and he's during the day. And if
grandfather, you're really working through something here."
Yeah, if they get together, it's an eclipse, and we all die. Oh. So he's like, they literally can't be together. Like, the tides will stop, it'll just be constant, like, floods and drought and, like, half light, and all the crops will die, all the people will die. They can't be together. I'm
rooting for those crazy kids. I want them to be together. Kill the world.
Yes. So he's like, they can't be together. He's sort of ruminating on this. In the meantime, Chalk is, you know, on his gossip high, and so he goes and he visits Vulture, who is on the top of a mountain. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Oh, Vulture, how's it going?" And Vulture's like, "Oh, good." And he's like, "You look out at everything, so I know you already know this. I also can see a lot of stuff. So I just heard this crazy thing, though, and I don't know if you've heard about it yet. You probably have, but I heard whoever marries Ix Chel will become king of the sky." And Vulture is like, "Oh my god, that's so crazy. I didn't hear that, but that's really good to know." And Chalk is like, "Yeah, looking out for you, bud. Anyways, bye." And then he leaves. And Vulture is thinking to himself, and he is not important. He's not like a big deal god or anything, but he's like, "But Vulture, I'm on top of a mountain and I can fly, which means that I have an advantage." Oh, yeah. So every morning before dawn, Vulture flies up as high as he can, and he goes to see Ix Chel, and he's like, "Oh, you're so beautiful. You're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Oh my god, look at you. You're so hot. You're so beautiful. I love you so much." And Ix Chel's kind of like, "Thanks." I'm
imagining Jason Statham as the Vulture. I don't...
You're so beautiful.
Just about, "Oh man, you're so pretty." It's my classic Statham. And she's like, "Wow, you sound terrible."
She's like, "Is that a Vulture or is that Jason Statham?"
It's both.
"Oh, lady."
Oh, what in it?
You okay? Do you need a doctor?
Classic Statham.
So Vulture is very persistent, and he goes to visit Ix Chel every morning before dawn. The sun becomes jealous because he sees, as he comes up over the horizon, he sees that the Vulture is already talking to Ix Chel and everything, so he gets really jealous. However, the calm season is coming to an end, and so Chuck is like, all right, we gotta get this prank going. So he goes back to Grandfather, and he's like, oh, Grandfather, can we just talk about this stuff that we both already know because we can both see everything? And Grandfather's like, yes, I know what you're talking about for sure.
Good God.
And Chuck says, everyone is talking about Ix Chel and Vulture. Apparently, Vulture has been trying to woo her, and she's in love with him, and they're going to elope. But I also heard that the sun knows about this, and so the sun is going to try and kidnap Ix Chel so that he can be with her.
They're just being sweet and flirty. That's all they want to do.
So, Grandfather is like, oh, I totally knew all about that, for sure. The thing is, though, I was just, like, thinking, like, before I do it, like, I want to figure out what I want to do about it. So, like, I'm just thinking about that, which is why I haven't done anything about it yet. So, like, what would you do, hypothetically, in this situation?
I don't need your help, but, like, what would you do?
But, like, just out of curiosity. And so Chuck and Grandfather confer, and Grandfather gives Chuck his blessing to go on with their plot. So the next morning, Vulture and the sun both move towards Ix Chel to go try and woo her. Chuck is ready over the sea, and he's prepared the biggest storm that mankind has ever seen.
Meanwhile, he's trying to wipe out humanity.
Yeah. The skies are black, and he like...
The true villain.
Yeah, he riles up the sea, and he covers the whole world. He's black clouds, and he's thunder claps so hard that the stars shake in the sky.
All the maidens.
And then he's depicted as being on Earth causing the storm, and he throws axes up into the clouds, and when they hit the clouds, they become lightning and come down to the Earth.
Oh, he's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, he's cool. I'm back on his side. Chuck.
So he has, like, this armful full of axes, and he's just chucking them at the sky, and he's having the time of his life, because, again, it's been the calm season, and this is the first time he's been able to do a big storm in a while, and so he goes a little bit overboard, and he pitches one of his axes up into the sky, and he hits Ix Chel.
No!
And she falls out of the sky, she falls into the water, and she's like, oh, I don't want to fucking deal with this. So she turns into a crab.
Yeah.
She's, like, hurt, but she's not, like, that hurt.
Yeah.
So she, like, turns into a crab, and she's like, I'll just hang out underwater until whatever the fuck this is done. And meanwhile, Chuck is just going absolutely hog wild, like, pitching axes in every direction and everything, and just not paying attention. And so finally he gets tired, and he ends the storm. Unfortunately, he has pitched a bunch of axes into the water, and one of them hit Ix Chel as a crab.
Good God, she's just trying to live, man.
Yeah, and this one is fatal. And Ix Chel is struck with lightning and killed immediately, and she floats up, back in her goddess form, she floats up to the top of the water, right next to her canoe, which has also fallen out of the sky. And just her body is, like, broken and floating in the water next to this, like, lonely canoe. So, from all around the world, 400 dragonflies fly to her. Mm-hmm. And they all come together and they lift her up into the canoe, and then they pick up the canoe with her inside of it and they bring it up to Grandfather. And Grandfather is heartbroken and he feels terrible. He's like, this is all my fault. I shouldn't have gotten involved. Like, I shouldn't have listened to Chuck. And
I mean, he didn't really do anything, though. At this point, Grandfather has only just been listening to gossip. Like, he
gave Chuck his permission to make a big storm. Yeah,
but he would have done that anyway. It was the stormy season. I just feel like Grandfather's beating himself up, but really he's just a passive figure. It's worse, but, like, he's a passive figure. Yeah, so he blames himself. He grieves for 13 days and 13 nights. During those 13 days and 13 nights, the dragonflies don't leave. They all collect over Ix Chel in her canoe, which is like a coffin, and they just sit above her and they hum their wings for 13 days and 13 nights, sort of keeping a silent vigil over her. After these 13 days and 13 nights, Grandfather kind of pulls himself together and he says, it's time, like, I have to bring her to Xibalba. And so he turns to the dragonflies and he says, will you carry her to the cenote so that she can go down to Xibalba? Like, I don't want to say goodbye, but I have to. It's her time. Yeah. At that moment, the dragonflies all lift up off of her body, and she sits up. Oh! Because they weren't just humming. They were conferring unto her their life force, and they brought her back to life. I was going to ask, how long do dragonflies live? Like, they don't live for 13 days, do they?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I didn't research dragonfly life cycles for this.
What? You're not a dragonfly scientist?
So anyways, that's the end of the story. She comes back to life and returns to the sky.
And Chuck gets no sort of punishment?
Nope.
Cool.
So that specific iteration of the myth is Quiche Maya, which is one of the categories of Mayan mythology. Mm-hmm. I should also mention that the moon in Quiche Maya is considered like a container for water in the same sense as that jug that she carries around with her where she upends it. The Quiche Maya had a very comprehensive understanding of astronomy, so they could predict when an eclipse was about to happen. So one of the things they could predict it, but there wasn't really much that they could do about it. They could just kind of prepare for disaster because an eclipse was considered to be, in the same sense as a rainbow, sort of a harbinger of disaster. So they would prepare for it and everything like that. But this is kind of the story about why that is, sort of, where if the sun and the moon came together, the whole earth would be destroyed. And that moon container would tip upside down and all the waters of heaven would flow down to the earth and flood. So that's important.
Cool.
Like I said, also, just wrapping up here, worldhistory.org has a full list of all the gods of the Mayan pantheon. Mm-hmm. Again, like I said, the scholarship is extensive, but there are also lots of places where, there are gods who are basically similar or in many cases identical, and they'll have different names. But there are also records of one god having multiple aspects that have different names, like Ix Chel and Ix Chel.
Yeah.
And then Itzamna, who's also called the thing that I said earlier, Kini Jahal. They're the same, it's just different aspects of the same thing, which complicates everything even more.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of gods and goddesses, and we don't know how many of them are actually distinct and how many of them are just from different places, but like identical stories, because we don't have the stories. But that said, Ix Chel is very similar, I noticed, to Ishazalua or Ishazalvoa, who is also a goddess of divining and oracles and water and weaving and life and childbirth, and is the consort to Hunadku, the sort of king of kings, god figure that came about with Christianization and colonization.
That's the grandfather.
Yes, grandfather. And then Itzamna is considered like the parallel to Jesus. He is the son of Hunabku, the Christ god. Ix Chel has also, especially in more modern times, been sort of equated to a Virgin Mary figure. Oh. Because she's the protector of women and like the holy mother in a lot of senses.
Yeah.
But like I said, Ix Chel Zaloa and Hunadku are the king and queen of gods, and then Itzamna and Ix Chel are the king and queen of the skies.
Yeah.
And they're like two generations, but I'm not sure that they are, because all of their epithets are exactly the same. So they all have like the exact same control and everything like that. And also it would make more sense with the Christ analogy for Ix Chel to be Mary Magdalene. Anyways.
Yeah.
But I also I mentioned Apuk, who is basically the same as Ix Chel, but male and controlling Xibalba. There's also, interestingly, a goddess or god named Chen or Chin. Mm-hmm. They control the moon as well as maize, corn, maize.
Yeah.
Maize, corn. Not corn mazes.
They control corn mazes and hay rides.
Yeah, as well as magic. They were also a counselor to kings, as well, like Isha Zalua, and then they also were sometimes depicted as male. They were depicted as male or female, and they were also the patron of homosexuality.
Cool.
Yeah, so there was a period in Mayan culture when it became very, very trendy, especially for the nobles to be gay.
Cool.
And Chen or Chin they were the patron of that, who would like come and be like, hey, you should be gay. And like whisper in your ear, and you'd be like, oh, sick, I'm gay now.
Yeah!
But again, also a lot of similarities to Ix Chel, and honestly the only difference is that like the childbirth aspect is replaced with homosexuality. But honestly, super similar, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was a lot of
cool as shit.
Other things. Anyways, that's all I got.
That's so interesting and fun.
Yeah.
It does remind me, with all the different names and how confusing it is, it also reminds me of the Filipino gods. Like Apo, Apo Napolitao, and Ini, like the sun god. Like, he has so many different names that it's hard to keep track of. And like, just, if you are a scholar of Mayan mythology or Filipino mythology, like, chat us up. Tell us why. Tell us why that is. If you know a scholar, tell them to Don't have to tell us why there are so many names.
Yeah, so that's, and again, this is all my research just having been on Google for an hour and a half. But yeah, so super cool stuff. Also, if you can look up the picture of Ix Chel on Cozumel, because it is spooky and cool. I should also mention, she is called the goddess of rainbows. Like I said, the rainbow is kind of a symbol of destruction.
Love
but
that.
Specifically the rainbow is red, yellow, white, and black, which she's depicted as having all of those colors in most of her depictions. So
cool.
Yeah, she's...
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Ix Chel is, I think, they both mean something rainbow, but I think Ix Chel is red rainbow or something like that. Or the red goddess. She's super cool. But the rainbow, it's also the 4 colors of the rainbow are also the 4 directions, the 4 like pillars. So her 4 suns each correspond to one of the colors as well.
Red, yellow, white, and black. That's the same in the medicine wheel. In like Native American stuff. Like that's the colors of the 4 corners of the earth. Yeah,
and when she's depicted weaving, she, like I said, her spindle's at the center of the universe, and she's like the weaver of all things. She's also occasionally depicted with like spiders and stuff as like that weaver figure. But when she's weaving, she's usually weaving red, yellow, black, and white. So,
cool.
Yeah, very cool.
That's so fun.
Yeah, pretty sick. I love her.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I love knowing more about Mayan mythology. I am excited to, I don't know, become obsessed with this because that was badass.
She's sick as hell. I love her. I love the story about her husband being a piece of shit and her being like, you're a piece of shit, and reacting to that appropriately, because that is so rare in mythology. Especially like when you think about mythology as a concept being like teaching lessons, she is like the patron goddess of like no second chances when it comes to abuse, which is great. It's great that there's a story that's like, hey, if your husband hits you, it's okay to leave and never come back, no matter what he says.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, really great to have that as like, she is like one of the main goddesses in this, and it's great to have that story just accessible to women and normal modern in a society.
It is a very modern concept that it's weird that as like just multiple societies around the world we forgot.
Yeah.
You know, because it was there just the same way of like acceptance of homosexuality. Just around the world everyone kind of forgot for a little while.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. And that's Christian and European colonization for you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And that was sort of the story.
That's sort of the story. Thanks, gang.
So, Max, especially, because you're going to be reading more books than I am this year.
Hopefully.
100%. Even if you read just sparingly, you'll still read more books than me. I listen to books very randomly. But she'll be posting updates on our Instagram if you would like to see what she's reading.
Yes. And I will also link to my Goodreads. So far I have 1.5 books down, which means that I am 2.5 books behind.
They're super cool ones, though.
Yeah, but the first book that I read was Strange Heart Beating by Eli Goldstone. I'm currently reading Nights at the Circus by Angela Carter, so I'll be posting pictures of those and I guess my reviews and thoughts. Like I mentioned, not necessarily folklore or mythology books, but if you're interested to see what I'm reading, I'm going to be reading a lot of weird stuff. I read fiction, I read nonfiction. After this one, I'm going to read a book called, what is it? It's about like architectural concepts of burglary, like how burglars assess place like buildings for like heists and stuff.
Cool.
And then after that, I'm probably going to read a graphic novel by Kendra Wells. So yeah, we'll see.
Max got me a book for Christmas called The Heroine with 1001 Faces by Maria Tatar. Tatar. And it's fantastic. And that one actually does cover fairy tales and folklore, and it goes into women's roles and the ever-evolving and changing shift as we get more empathetic as a culture and retell these stories for women's empowerment, and it's fucking rad. So if you want to read that, that's my endorsement. I'm trying to convince our friend Eli to buy it and read it with me because I think he would like it a whole lot. And I don't think I need to do much convincing. I think he's pretty much already on board, but I'm still going to pretend like he's resisting.
Yeah. So. It's called The Heroine with 1001 Faces as kind of a direct counterpoint to Joseph Campbell's The Hero with 1,000 Faces, just sort of being like the evolution of, you know, the like unseen emotional labor of women and stuff like that, especially in mythology.
Yeah, and specifically because he used to teach at Sarah Lawrence, which is an all-female college, which was an all-female college when he was teaching there. And he had, you know, his classes were always booked so much that he had to limit like who could enroll and stuff like that, because all of these women were like, yeah, It's Joseph Campbell. We're obsessed with storytelling. We all like the hero's journey. Like, we all like these epics. And one day a girl came up to him and was like, what about the girls? And he was like, what do you mean? And she's like, your whole philosophy is about, you know, the importance of men in these stories, specifically the importance of men. She's like, what about the women? And he says, well, the women are the caretakers. I mean, he's like, women are super important. They're the ones, you know, giving them the emotional support, and they're the ones nursing them back to health, and they're the ones that, like, you know, the goddesses help them on their hero's journey. Like, what more do you want? Like, was his exact thing. He said, what more do you want? And she was like, I want to be the hero. Like, what are you talking about? And he could not grasp that. That's not really me dunking on Joseph Campbell. It's just like such
you can if you want.
It's just an outdated way of thinking, and that's why this book is fucking amazing, guys. It was a perfect purchase.
I'm so glad. I'm gonna buy a copy for me also so that I can read it before you're done.
You cannot borrow mine. If you if you touch my copy, I will.
Yeah, so we're gonna include that as well. I guess we'll probably have it as like a pinned story on our Instagram.
We could totally do that. Yeah, just, you know, check the Instagram, because
check us out, follow us, hang out with us, send us a message.
Updates on this. We post fun, I think, little pictures from the books we're reading, but also I like the idea of it just becoming us sharing the books that we're reading. It's like that.
Stories.
It's a story Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And we are excited.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Happy New Year, everyone. Happy super belated New Year.
Can I say too?
Yeah.
Sorry, we're so late on here, but I got the dates wrong, and so for the last, like, 3 podcasts, I have been going, this one's coming out, I think, on New Year's. I think this one's coming out, like, right after New Year's. I think this is our New Year episode. But, like, for the past 3, and so for the past 3 episodes, we've just been going, and Happy New Year. And you're just like, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
We're renaming this podcast Happy New Year.
Hey, guys. Happy 2023.
Hey, guys. God, Happy New Year. Okay, goodbye. Bye. Okay, let's do a test.
You just want me to say it.
I want you to say test.
Testes.
No, I didn't want you to say that.
You always say test, and then I say testes. I don't know why you're surprised.
It's a classic Janey and Max.
Yeah, it's a classic.
Classic
Janey and Max. Testy around.
Ew! No, I was drinking. Never say testy around again. I'll break up
All
with
right,
you.
testy.
What?